Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, EFCC arraigns former aviation minister Mr. Fani Kayode over 4.9 billion naira money laundering charges. Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose takes EFCC to court, seeks order to defreeze his bank accounts. NEMA predicts food shortage across the country due to NIMET's forecasts of extreme weather conditions. And the European Parliament's first debate on the United Kingdom's vote to leave, marked by bitter exchanges.
And on Business News tonight, Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation gives a clean bill of health for the country's banking sector.
And on Sports News tonight, world number one Jason Day becomes the sixth high-profile golfer to pull out of the Rio Olympics over Zika virus fears.
I'm Gloria Umezuke, and from Abuja, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation begins a road show in the Chinese capital city of Beijing to attract more investments into the nation's oil and gas industry.
We begin tonight with a high-profile case between the former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Fani Kayode, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The Federal High Court in Lagos today remanded ex-aviation minister Fani Kayode in the custody of the EFCC. Mr. Kayode, who served as Director of Media and Publicity during the campaign of former President Goodluck Jonathan, is facing a 17-count charge bordering on alleged unlawful retention, use and payments of public funds.
From the custody of the EFCC to the court, the defendants were arraigned for allegedly stealing and laundering about 4.9 billion naira belonging to the federal government of Nigeria. In the first of the 17-count charge, the former Minister of Finance, Nenadi Usman, the former Aviation Minister, Fani Kayode, one Danjuma Yusuf, and a company, Joint Trust Dimensions Nigeria Limited, on or about the 8th of January 2015, allegedly conspired to indirectly retain the sum of 1.5 billion naira, a sum which the EFCC says they reasonably ought to have known formed part of the proceeds of an unlawful act. They therefore committed an offense contrary to Section 18A of the Money Laundering Prohibition Amendment Act of 2012. The offense is punishable under Section 15, subsection 3 and 4 of the same act. While the former finance minister and the company, Joint Trust Dimensions Limited, are only named in the first 4 counts, the former aviation minister is named in all 17 counts. In the last 3 counts, he allegedly conspired with one Olubode Oke, who is said to still be on the run. Both men were said to have made cash payments to one paste poster company without going through a financial institution and exceeding the amount authorized by law. The defendants all pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the prosecuting counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo, immediately asked the courts to commence trial and order an accelerated hearing of the case. The defense counsel took turns to make a case for the courts to hear the bail applications of their clients. The prosecution, however, urged the court to give him time to file a joint response to all the bail applications, as he had only just been served some of the documents. The EFCC counsel also told the court that the commission's remand facility was overstretched, and considering that Chief Fani Kayode had recently alleged that one of the EFCC officials assaulted him, the proper place to remand the defendants pending the determination of their bail applications was the prison. After listening to all the submissions, Justice Sule Azan adjourned hearing of the bail applications till Friday the 1st of July. He also ordered that all the defendants be remanded in prison custody until then. Shola Shuyeli, Channels Television News.
A federal high court sitting in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, has commenced sitting in an application brought before it by Governor Ayodele Fayose over the freezing of his accounts. 2 personal bank accounts of the governor with Zenith Bank PLC were frozen by the EFCC on June the 20th, 2016. The EFCC had alleged that Governor Fayose received funds from the office of the former National Security Advisor, retired Colonel Sambuda Suki, who is standing trial for money laundering. Governor Fayose is asking the court to grant a mandatory order directing the immediate lifting of the restriction or freezing placed on his accounts by the EFCC. Justice Taiwo adjourned the case to July the 4th. The representatives of the EFCC and Zenith Bank were, however, not represented in court. Counsel to the applicant, Mr. Mike Ozehome, told newsmen that the EFCC has no power to freeze a sitting governor's account.
This is one case that will open up new vistas into our jurisprudence, into our constitutionalism, because we operate a constitutional democracy where the rule of law and not the rule of thumb is what should reign supreme. We are not in the Hobbesian state of nature where life was short, nasty, and brutish. And things must be done according to law. The EFCC has no power to freeze the accounts of a sitting governor who has absolute immunity under Section 308. And what the court has said today, having heard us, is to order the EFCC to come by Monday to come and show cause why it should not grant this interim order to defreeze and defrost and de-restrict the account of Governor Fayose of Ekiti State, pending the hearing and determination of the substantive originating summons.
The National Judicial Commission has been petitioned over an alleged abuse of judicial powers by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bulkachawa. In the petition filed by the Civil Liberties Organization of Nigeria, South-South Zone, Justice Zainab Bulkachawa is accused of undue interference in an ongoing murder trial in Rivers State. Our correspondent, Emmanuel Eri, reports.
Following the deaths recorded in the April 2015 and March 19 rerun elections in Rivers State, some cases are currently being tried in court. One of such matters is that involving Ojukai Flagamakri, a former chairman of Asari Toro local government area, who is standing trial for a 3-count charge of conspiracy and murder during the April 11th general election. After failing to obtain bail application from a Rivers State High Court, the matter is now before the Court of Appeal. But now, a group is asking the President of the Court of Appeal to be sanctioned for what they say is a gross abuse of judicial powers.
We use this medium to once more seek an urgent intervention by the NJC over an obvious act of mindless abuse of judicial powers, shameful demonstration of repetitive political interests in a murder trial ongoing in Rivers State by the President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Bulkachawa.
Elsewhere, counsel to the accused is explaining the role of the appeal court on the matter affecting his clients. For him, the Civil Liberties Organization is misdirected.
And I begin to wonder, if this is a civil rights body, they should be concerned with the liberty of individuals. They should not be concerned with incarceration of individuals. If somebody who is suffering incarceration, whose liberty is at stake, is taking measures to get his freedom back, why would there now be a challenge to that freedom?
For others, there is no need for controversy.
Any justice from any division can come and do a matter in any other division. So there's nothing about a controversy. If a matter is before the High Court and somebody has filed an appeal, like in Flag Ojukai's matter, he has a right to have his appeal heard by the Court of Appeal. Remember, I have only one Court of Appeal.
Many are, however, watching with keen interest to see how events will pan out as the Court of Appeal entertains the matter on the next date of 4th of July 2016. Emmanuel Ere, Channels Television News.
Over now to Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where the trial of a female lawyer, Yewande Oyediran, who allegedly killed her husband, Lowo, has again been stalled as she was not present in court due to ill health. Last week, Justice Mukhtar Abimbola had adjourned the trial after it was discovered that the report of the medical examination conducted on the deceased and the statement of the co-tenant were missing. Counsel to the family of the deceased, Mr. Sonia Akinyele, said that he is not aware that the accused person is ill, insisting that the defense counsel ought to have brought this to his notice. Justice Mukhtar Abimbola has adjourned the case till October the 24th, 2016.
Of information concerning her, and I told the court that it's only a living can withstand the test of trial. But we just need to be convinced about the state of our health. But notwithstanding, we believed him because he was speaking from the bar. So, and that necessitates the court granting the adjournment, and coupled with the agreement of counsel, we have both agreed to come back on 24th of October 2016 for continuation of hearing.
The Nigerian Army today has announced plans to take the war against insurgency to the nation's cyberspace. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, notes that the insurgents, who have been heavily decimated, are engaging in cyber war in order to discredit efforts of the Nigerian armed forces. Lieutenant General Buratai affirmed the Army's resolve to restore peace and normalcy to the northeast and other parts of the country.
We have already defeated the insurgents and the terrorists on the land. Now they've migrated to cyberspace. They've migrated to the internet and other print, electronic media, and so on. But I want to assure them that these terrorists, the Boko Haram terrorists who have migrated to the cyberspace, will follow them to that cyberspace and equally defeat them and clear their doubts. None of them is claiming to be holding any territory, and this is very, very clear. Secondly, if you see the landscape of the Northeast, it's a very, very large area, very large landmass. And such number of people are scattered in different communities.
And while the Army is taking on the insurgents in cyberspace, the Commandant of the National Defense College, Rear Admiral Ilesanmi Alade, is advocating application of good intelligence and capacity building in tackling the militants. Speaking at a forum at the National Defense College in Abuja, Rear Admiral Alade explains that partnering with other international security agencies is also critical to developing and sustaining current efforts in the anti-terror campaign. The forum is aimed at establishing new targets to counter fresh threats.
There is potential for the threat to take root and even expand in its capability and intensity. It has become very clear that the key to defeating the extremists and insurgents is in application of good intelligence initiative.
Moving on to other stories now. As the debate continues on government's plans to create grazing reserves around the country, federal lawmakers from the southern part of Kaduna State say that they are against the policy. While speaking to journalists in the National Assembly, the group made up of 1 senator and 5 members of the House of Representatives say that the move is ill-advised and unsustainable. The lawmakers advised the Kaduna State government to encourage herdsmen to acquire land and establish ranches.
As the representatives of the people who are currently soaked in the heated disapproval of our constituents on this issue of grazing reserve, we categorically say no to grazing reserves in southern Kaduna. We view this action as insensitivity by the state government, which seems to be fixated with the presumed benefits of grazing reserve, but indifferent to the consequences of a wired marriage between farmers and herdsmen that has always given birth to human agonies. The soothing words from the state government on the gains of grazing reserve sound very superficial and only meant to sway us because the realities on the ground differs from what is being said. The scares of years of rampage through our land by suspected herdsmen have led human casualties strewn all over the place. And our rational thinking is that the allocation of permanent abort to people that have stabbed our people in the back is akin to giving an official seal to them to perpetuate their morbid disregard for the sanctity of lives, and these fears are definitely not unfounded.
In part 2, after the break, we'll be joined by Joseph Alozie, the General Manager, Climate Services at the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, to give an insight into NIMET's findings on the weather conditions in Nigeria. Stay with us.